we good? Okay, so I don't normally do this. I've never really been into testimonies and stuff like that, mainly because I was always skeptical of what I heard, and I'd never really had a life-changing testimony of my own. Though I had turned to Christ, it did take me 12 months to do that, and it was basically through reading and understanding the truth was there, and I couldn't deny it any longer, and it sort of led me to that. Up until a couple of weeks ago, I didn't really have anything to share. So 2 weeks ago, I started getting a pain in my stomach. Didn't think anything. I thought maybe it was a gallbladder or something like that, because in the past I've had a gallbladder thing. But it felt different. It felt a bit lower, and I wasn't really sure. I was with the kids. We had a hot tub, and I came back out, and all of a sudden it shifted to the right-hand side really quickly down here. And I told Maddie, I said, I don't know. I think this is something else. It doesn't feel like a gallbladder. I think it's maybe appendix. And she's like, I don't know. It's you with your crazy diets, because I was doing carnivore and stuff like that. So she's like, it's just your crazy diets. And I'm like, I don't know. It feels pretty painful. So we left it for like half an hour, and it was just getting worse and worse. And she said, well, if it is appendix, you have to go to the hospital right away. You can't mess with it. I don't like hospitals. I don't like anything to do with that. I don't go. I've never had to go for anything, really. So I was a little skeptical, and I'm like, well, maybe it'll wear off. So we went home. I charged my phone just on the off chance that I may have to go in, and it got worse and worse. So we texted Pastor Matt. Well, it was basically we were testing Bobby. I texted Bobby first, and I was saying, hey, you know, if I have like a dodgy appendix, would you say I should go to St. Catherine's or Welland? Because I wasn't sure what the hospitals were like. She said, well, we've always had good experience at Welland, so you can go there, and the wait time's less. She said, but Matt will drive you. You don't have to go. Matt's going to take you. I'm like, are you sure? Oh, okay. So we went, and we got there. This was 2 o'clock, something like that. So he came and dropped me off. We had a couple of bottles of water, and I said, there's no point staying. Just leave me here. I don't know how long I'm going to be. And it was around 8:30 at night when they eventually came to me. I was in quite a lot of pain at that time. So they sent me for a CAT scan. They came back and they said, oh, it's just slightly inflamed. You're okay. This is at midnight after we got the results. They said, it's slightly inflamed. The doctor said, we'll just put you on antibiotics for 2 days. And I'm thinking, great, I'm going home. So I got my jacket on and stuff like this. And they're like, but we're going to keep you for 2 days while we do this. I'm like, why? I can just take them at home. They're like, no, it's IV stuff, and we got to monitor you and stuff like that. I'm like, and we're sending you to the Falls. So I'm texting Maddie, okay, change your plan. I'm not coming home after all. I'm sending me to the Falls. I got to go, I don't know. So I got there. It was like 1 o'clock in the morning, and they got me settled and stuff like that. The pain was quite bad at that time. So they gave me morphine, I guess. Didn't really do anything. So I just sat there. I wasn't really sure what was going on. They had a gentleman next to me who they just brought up from ICU that day and put him next to me because there was no room. And he was pretty uncomfortable, so none of us slept that night. And then the morning came, the doctor came, and he couldn't even touch my stomach. It was so painful. And he said, well, the antibiotics, I guess, are not working, so we're going to have to operate. I didn't want an operation. I was scared of this. And I said, well, are you going to do it today? He said, yeah, we'll do it today because it looks like it's getting pretty bad. So we went the rest of that day. And then he came that night and said, yeah, no, it's not going to work today. We're going to have to do it tomorrow. So this bumped it to January the 26th, and I'll tell you in a second why that is such an important date. So I was lying in bed. It was just after midnight, and I was a little bit worried about the operation. I've never had an operation before, never been under or anything like that before, so I wasn't sure what to expect. Everybody kept telling me, yeah, it's a routine thing, and I'm like, yeah, but people die under routine stuff all the time, so I was kind of a little bit worried. So I picked up my phone. I was really bored of my phone. I'd been on my phone literally all day because I had nothing else to do. So I picked up my phone, and the first thing I saw on there on Facebook was a picture of my brother. Now, my brother passed in his 20s on January the 26th. And it was an industrial accident. He was doing a job that I got him just before I left Canada. And it was a pretty devastating accident, and he was killed instantly. And that happened on January the 26th. And my brother was called Ian. So I was always a little worried about that day anyway. And then a number of years after that, my dad died on January the 26th, getting ready to go to the grave of my brother to put flowers on his grave. So there was only, my dad raised me and my brother, and both of those died on January the 26th, around the same time in the morning. So when I saw that picture at midnight, I was starting to panic. I was starting to really worry, and I'm like, I can't do this. Like, is God setting me up? What's going on? It's January the 26th. I'm getting an operation. And the guy next to me, he wasn't sleeping, and they came in, and I only knew him as Mr. Wilson. And then the one nurse came, and she said, Ian, can you settle down? So I'm thinking, that was my brother's name. Like, what are the odds? Only God could do this. So I had Ian next to me. It was January the 26th, and I was like, this is it. And I was panicking. And it was like 1 o'clock in the morning. I texted Maddie. I'm like, I can't do this. I'm scared and stuff. And Maddie was asleep. I texted Pastor Matt. I'm like, I don't know what to do. This is freaking me out. And I was sat on the bed, and all the lights were off other than the monitors going off for the guy behind me. And I'm looking in the mirror, and the only light I had was from those monitors, and I was shaking with fear. And I was saying, God, why are you doing this? Why would you do this? Why would you create something so cruel like this and set this up for me? And I was really upset about this. And this happened for a few minutes. And then in my mind, I got one word: trust. And as soon as I heard that, I literally had no fear anymore. Like, it disappeared. Like, I've heard testimonies and people say this, and I'm like, yeah, okay, whatever. It really did. I felt so calm. And I kept saying the words that I'm scared, but now I'm not believing them. I just kept saying them. I thought, well, I have to keep saying them because I am scared. I should be scared. And I'm like, but I didn't believe it anymore. Like, it had no bearing on me whatsoever. So then I went down and I sat in bed, and I was trying to sort of contemplate and make sense of everything that was happening. I wasn't scared anymore. So then I just like, okay, let's just do an earnest prayer to God right now. So I prayed to God, and I thought I would ask him to save me from the surgery and all this, but I didn't. I thanked him for the life that he'd given me. I thanked him for the family that I had and the family that I had around me. I thanked him for the opportunities he'd given me, even though I probably failed some of them. That's okay. I'm who he made me to be. And then I said to him, if January the 26th is the day, I trust your judgment then. It is what you want to do. I fully trust you now. When he asked me to trust, I said, I'm all in. You have everything. And I always had a problem. I have a very different background from you guys. I don't know if anybody remembers my testimony, but it's very different from what you guys have gone through. I still have a lot of those feelings and thoughts that come from that life that I have to fight every single day. It's a battle every day. So having something like this happen, it really gives you something solid to hold on to. So I prayed to him, and I basically said, if this is my time, then I'm okay with your decision. Please forgive me for anything that I've done. Forgive all my sins and everything like that. If it is my time, take me home with you. I want to go home with you, but I want you to look after my family. And I said, but I'm going on record to say I would rather not go. But if this is your choice, then I trust what you're about to do. So the next morning came, and they took me off the meds and everything. So it was a very painful night. I was on no antibiotics, no anything all night, because they were doing the operation in the morning. So they came around to do the operation, and they were late. So I'm thinking, well, that's not a good start. So I was not doubting. I was sort of worried about the process, but I still trusted God in this. I was still very calm through this all, from everything. And then they eventually came to take me, and this was like a Benny Hill sketch, the whole thing, from this point on. So we're going down the corridor, and we're basically hitting everything that's in the corridor, going down. And I'm trying to hold on. They're like, move your hands, and I'm trying to move my hands so they don't hit my hands. And then we get to the elevator. They open the elevator. They shove me in. It hits the back of the elevator. And then they shut the doors, and the door's shutting on my bed. So it's banging on my bed like this. And I'm like, do you want me to get out? I can walk down. I'll walk down like I'm fine. I'm like, I can walk. They're like, no, no, you got to stay there. So they're like, so they pulled me out and they took the end of the bed off and they put me back in again and it's banging on the side of the bed. I'm like, I'll walk down, I'm fine. It's one set of stairs. They're like, no, 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 we'll push you down. So they turned me around and took something else off the bed, got me in, and the nurse is squeezing in and the door's just shut. So they got me out, they got me down, and when we got there, they're like, well, where's the bed? Where's the rest of the bed? We're like, it's in the elevator. They're like, well, go and get it, we need it. So they came back and they started putting the bed back together, and all the time I'm going, really? This is, honestly, really? So then they take off the covers, and they're like, where are your slippers? I'm like, nobody gave me any slippers. They're like, we don't have any slippers for him. She's like, I'll go and get some slippers. She come back, she says, we have no slippers. She said, well, what do you have? She says, we have one of these blue hats and we have a hairnet. So that's what I got on my feet. And I'm thinking, he has a really good sense of humor because he's really throwing everything he can at me right now. And I wasn't scared at all. Like, I really wasn't scared at this point. Then she came over, she says, okay, I'm going to be putting you under and all this. Like, have you ever done it before and stuff like that? She was an older European woman. I'm like, no, no, I've never done this before, so I really don't know what to expect. She's like, well, nothing to worry about. She says, most people are worried about two things. She says, if I don't give you enough, you're probably going to wake up during the program. I'm like, she said, but if I give you too much, you're just not going to wake up. So I said, well, I'll take the first option. I have no problem waking up during the operation. So she gave it to me, but she gave it me in two sections. I don't know why. She gave me a little bit, and I'm thinking, this feels really weird. I can't breathe. I'm like, should I be feeling anything now? She said, oh, yeah, you shouldn't be able to breathe. I'm like, well, yeah, that's probably what I'm feeling. She's like, I'm going to give you the rest. And she just gave me the rest, and I just went under. So I think this was God just really trying to test my faith. And everything else, I woke up after that, and everything was fine, and everything worked out well and stuff like that. And the night before is when I fully chose to give everything to God. And Maddie always said I'm holding something back, and I was. I was always holding back because I came to God through knowledge. I didn't come to God through my heart. So it was the knowledge that took me to God, but it was the heart that gave me to God. And that's where I am now. So I've now fully given my life to God, and everything's actually gone really well since. So that's what happened to me.